We're just waiting on a couple of people. Oh, I think we're done. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. I will be sharing my screen. And so let's see here. So we can get started. And here we go. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for our second LCAP stakeholder input meeting, number 2. Today's Thursday, March the 4th, 2021. It is 5:03. And today we have our on-site meeting for those parents who have chosen to participate in today's meeting in person. We do have that available at Matthew J. Burletic School. I want to thank the team over at Burletic School for opening up the door so that our parents can have access to tonight's meeting. Well, let's get started. Thank you, parents, once again. I'd like to get started by explaining what it is that is considered the LCFF and the LCAP, the LCAP. We seem to hear these letters, these items, and so I just want to make sure that before we proceed with our presentation, that we clarify what LCFF and LCAP mean for our parents, for our stakeholders. So with that being said, the local control funding formula is what the LCFF means. It means that the funding that we receive from the state is under local control, and it designates these funds apportioned to the school district to be principally directed to improve and increase the following groups. So when we receive LCFF monies from the state, we are targeting students who are socially, economically disadvantaged. We are also targeting English language learners, as well as youth who are considered our foster youth. So that's what LCFF means, is that it's funding that we receive from the state and it's under local control. It's money directed principally to improve and increase services for our group of students. The target students is those who are socially, economically disadvantaged, English learners, and the foster youth. So when we talk about the local control and accountability plan, that's what we mean when we say LCAP. So when you hear LCAP, that's what it means. It means that the monies that we receive here, the LCFF monies that we receive, we need to have a plan to indicate how we're going to spend those funds. And that's what the LCAP means. It's the local control, which talks about the funding, and it's the accountability plan, how we're going to spend it, who will benefit, and these are the targeted students, will benefit from the funding, how we're going to measure it, and how we'll know if the monies that we receive from the state are effective. So like it says here on your screen, the LCAP plan describes how the district intends to spend the funds to improve and increase services for its unduplicated students. So when we talk about unduplicated students, we're meaning this group of students. That means that they're socially disadvantaged, English learners, or foster youth. And the word unduplicated means that you can have a student who may just be an English learner, and so they would only be counted once. We do have English learners who are also foster youth, so they may be both or all three, but we only count them one time. And that's what it means by unduplicated students. So as long as they meet one of the criteria right here, they are only counted once towards the amount of student counts that we have as a district. So in the spirit of local control, the input from various stakeholder groups, like yourself, must be collected and considered when writing and updating the district LCAP. And this is a process that is conducted on an annual basis. We revisit the LCAP. Typically, the whole process begins around November. We start looking at our data, and then we bring in our stakeholder groups around the second semester of a school. Typically, it starts at the beginning of February and moves through the end of June. So in the spirit of local control, as indicated on this on this uh, on your monitor, the input from various stakeholders like yourself are very important, and it's required for us to listen to our not only our parents and our community, but also to our teachers, to our students. It's really important that we receive that information from our community. So what are supplemental and concentration funds? Okay, the supplemental and concentration funds are monies that we receive are considered the LCFF monies. This is what we receive from the state. And so I've added this description here to show you how the district receives funding. So the first section here is considered the base grant. This is the money that all schools receive for every student. This is what we receive for teacher salaries, for facilities, and to make sure that we are providing the best learning environment for our students, that we have a safe environment for our students to learn in. So that's the base grant. That's what we get every single year for every student. With LCFF, we not only get the base grant like indicated here, but the district also receives a supplemental grant for high needs students. So you ask, who are the high needs students? And as indicated here on your screen, that means that the high needs students are every low income English learner and foster youth in the district. So for every student that is considered low income, an English learner, or a foster youth within the district, we get additional monies on top of the base grant. We get supplemental grants. I mean, a supplemental grant, which is additional money to support the high need students. So that's your supplemental monies. In addition to your supplemental monies, we also get concentration grants. And the district receives a concentration grant for every high need student, which is indicated right here, for every high need student over 55% of the total enrollment. So for Parlor Unified, we have over 90% of our students are considered either low income, English learner, or foster youth. So anything above the 55% to that 90, above 90%, the difference is what we get in our concentration grant. So Parlor Unified and districts in the state of California receive their base grant. They get their supplemental grant to address the needs of every low-income English learner or foster youth. And if the district has an amount above 55% of English learners, low income and foster youth, they get that additional amount above 55%. So I just wanted to kind of show you in this diagram how the district receives funding. And so under LCFF, it's supplemental grant and it's the concentration grant. So Parlor Unified, the budget, this is a budget overview for this school year, 2021 LCAP year. So I've included a diagram here of all the revenues, all the funds that we received from different sources. And since the diagram is small and somewhat difficult to read for those of us who may need glasses, I've taken this information and I've just written it on the side so that it's better, you're better able to see what's on this diagram. So what you see in this diagram is listed on your right side. So for Parlor Unified, the total revenue, the total funding projected for Part of Unified is over $58 million, of which, so when you take the over $58 million, we break it down. So of that 58 million, $40,950,000, $776 are from your LCFF monies. So over $40 million of that 58 comes from our LCFF monies, your concentration and supplemental monies. We also have 3.5 million that comes from other types of state funding that we receive as a district. In addition to that, we have almost $2 million. It's 1,858,830,000 that we receive of local funds. And those are funds generated locally. And from federal funds, we receive over $12 million. And in your federal funds, that means your Title I monies, your Title II monies, Title III, all those federally restrictive funding that we receive from the federal government that is very restrictive. It's very specific. When we receive monies from the federal government, they're targeted to specific groups of students for a specific purpose. So from the federal government, we receive over $12 million. So altogether from your federal, your local, your state, and your LCFF monies, that is equivalent to the over $58 million that we receive, that is projected to be received from Party Unified School District. So just wanted to share this information with you. So as you all know, we've been experiencing a pandemic, and so it's been close to a year. I believe in the next couple of weeks, it'll be a year that we experience the closures of many schools. And so as a result of that, for this school year 2021, school districts in California had to work closely with parents, educators, students, and the community to develop a learning continuity and attendance plan. And we call that the LCP. So because things were different this year, the state required us to write a different plan to address the monies that we were going to receive for the pandemic. We had to write this plan on how we were going to spend and support, spend the money to support our students. So this learning continuity and attendance plan replaced the local control and accountability plan, the LCAP, for this school year. And so because of the changes due to the pandemic, and provided school districts with the opportunity to describe how they were planning to provide high quality education, in addition to social emotional supports and nutrition to our students during the COVID-19 pandemic. So as you know, not only with school closures, we had, as this district and many districts, the state of California, provided social emotional supports, nutrition. We provided breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So these monies, we had to write how we were going to address these needs in this specific plan addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. So Parlor Unified estimated using close to $3.5 million that will receive as additional funding for planned actions and services itemized in the LCP in this plan for the school year. So the amount is tied to increasing or improving services for high need students. And remember in the previous slide, high need students are all your students who are low income, English learner, or foster youth. And so addressing the needs and improving the services for high need students, the LCP only included the monies, almost $3.5 million of actions and services due to COVID-19. So because we were required to write this plan this year, it was important for us as a district to be as transparent as possible with our stakeholders, yourselves, our community, our parents, and our staff, to indicate how we were going to spend the additional monies to address the needs during the pandemic. So this leads us to the California 8 state priorities. So when we write the LCAP on an annual basis, we need to address the California 8 state priorities. And that's the California way. That is what the state of California wants all districts to follow. So the California 8 state priorities must be addressed in all LCAPs, whether you're in the Central Valley, in a district in the Central Valley, or in the Bay Area or down south. Every LCAP in the state of California must address these 8 state priorities. And they are as follows: student achievement, school climate, basic services, implementation of Common Core state standards, course access, parental involvement, other student outcomes, and student engagement. Those are the 8 state priorities. And I'm going to go deeper and explaining what each of those state priorities mean. When the state wants us to address the 8 priorities, this is what the state is indicating. So under student achievement, the state is specifically wants us to address performance on standardized tests, how our students are performing on the state assessments, the academic performance index. They also expect us under this priority to share how students are being prepared for college and career. How ready are they for once they leave our district? How our ELs are becoming proficient in English. The English learner reclassification rate, how many of our English learners are being reclassified in our district. We also must share how students, how many students are passing the advanced placement exams with a score of 3 or higher at the high school level. That's information that we need to address. We also must share the number of students or the students determined prepared for college by the early assessment program. How many of our students are completing high school and advancing to college at an earlier timeline? That's student achievement. Under student engagement, the following is what the state wants us to address: is school attendance rates. How many do we have a low or a high attendance rate? Chronic absenteeism rates, middle school dropouts rates, high school dropout rates, and as well as the dropout rates. The state also wants us to address the high school graduation rate as well. So that's what student engagement indicates. It's attendance, chronic absenteeism, the dropout rates at the middle school and high school, as well as the graduation rate at the high school level. Other student outcomes involves other indicators of student performance in required areas of study, and they may include performance on other exams. So that is something that the district must address in the plan. Under school climate, that in that area, we must address our student suspension rates, how many students are being expelled or not expelled in the district. So the suspension and expulsion rates, the overall district, and then any other measures that we have to show us our school climate. And they could be surveys that we provide our students and our parents and our staff. So that's school climate. Under parental involvement, we address the efforts to seek parent input. As an example today, what are the efforts from part of the district to seek parent input? How do we promote parental participation? And so those items need to be addressed in our LCAP plan. Base services, our basic services, the rate of teacher misassignment, how many teachers, if any, are being placed in classrooms with the incorrect credential. If it's 100%, that's the goal, 100% that we have teachers in the right classes with the right credentials teaching our students. Um, Student access to standards aligned instructional materials, that every single student, regardless of their background, identification, language, every student must have access to standards aligned instructional materials. And that means textbooks. That if I'm a third grade student, that I am I am given a third grade standards aligned book for every area that I am learning: math, ELA, English, science, social science, that our facilities are in good repair, that every classroom is providing our students with the safest, the cleanest, and the best environment for our students to learn. The facilities is a very crucial part of base services, are the basic thing, the monies that we receive from the state. This is where we assure that we're buying the standards aligned textbooks, that the teachers are credentialed, that we're recruiting credentialed teachers, and that our facilities are in the best repair possible. Also, the next one is implementation of Common Core state standards, and that we're implementing that our teachers are teaching using the Common Core state standards for English language arts, for math, for English language development, for science, for social science, including all our EL students and all our subgroups, all our migrant students, all our SPED students, that they all have access to the standards of the state of California. And then lastly, course access, assuring the district must assure that every student has access and has the opportunity to be enrolled in all the required areas of study, to make sure that every student has the same opportunities to graduate from high school and or move on to a college or university or vocational college. That is very important, that every student, regardless of their background, everybody has full access to all courses. So those are the state priorities. Each one must be addressed in the state, in the LCAP plan. The California dashboard is how California keep schools accountable for how they are progressing academically, um, and not only academically, but how they are using the funds. So the California dashboard, as it indicates here, is California's new school accountability system, supports the LCAP. It's tied together the LCAP requirements and provides measurements for how we are addressing academic performance, how we are making sure that we have maximizing academic engagement, and that the conditions and the climate of our schools are conducive, that they're positive for our students, our staff, and our parents. So that is what the California dashboard means. It's the accountability system. We're held accountable for making sure that what we say in our LCAP plan is actually taking place. That's why the LCAP plan and the dashboard, the accountability system, work hand in hand. So the California dashboard has indicators. They have local indicators and they have state indicators. And then the indicators are points that indicate whether we are meeting the requirements of the 8 state priorities. So for the local indicators, those are measured locally. This is information that we gather locally, and we measure ourselves as to determine whether we are actually meeting or exceeding or not meeting these following areas. So how well are we implementing the standards? So there's a process that each district has to determine if we are meeting the state standards, the implementation. So that's information that is gathered at the district level. Also, access to a broad course of study. That's information. Um, how our kids have access to different courses at the secondary level as well as the elementary level. Base services, our teacher credentials. Are we providing materials across the board for all our students in our facilities? In the previous slide, we talked about the 8 state priorities. Here we are again, the base services. The California dashboard is going to want to know how we are providing our base services. We have to indicate whether our teachers are fully credentialed or not, that all the materials are being placed in the classroom for all students, and that our facilities are in adequate or excellent condition for our students. With facilities, we have an annual review that that takes place at the beginning of the school year. During this review, we have people from the California Department of Education who come in and they inspect our facilities. They inspect every classroom, they inspect the restrooms, the cafeteria, the administrative offices to make sure that our facilities are in top condition. If there are findings with facilities, a report is given to the district administration, and every effort, we have a deadline in which we have to make every effort to correct any areas that were found to be not safe or clean or in top shape. And so that is the way we make sure as a district that we are providing our children, our staff with the best facilities possible. Also with the local indicators, we must measure how we are engaging our parents. We need to show if we're being effective and what are we doing to engage our parents, as well as on an annual or every 2 years, provide a local climate survey. And climate survey simply means is how comfortably do students feel, how comfortably do parents feel with the school as a whole, as well as for our staff. And so that has to be done. And then that information, that data is collected at the local level. And when they talk about local, it means the district, at the district level for the entire, for all the schools. So locally means all the schools, but managed here at the district. We also have the California Dashboard State Indicators. Now, this is information that is measured by data submitted to CalPADS, and CalPADS is the system that is used to collect student information, and it's a system that is used across the state of California. And this is how we keep records of when students enroll in school, what types of services they receive, the testing that they have completed and have been administered. So CalPADS is the state system of collecting student information. If a student were to move from Parlor Unified and move to Sanger Unified, the student information would follow that student to the next district, because CalPADS, the system, is a California system. And so the new school district would not have to be searching for information because the information follows the student. And so The data is submitted, the districts submit the information to CalPads, it's stored in CalPads, and then it's returned to the state. As I indicated earlier, CalPads also picks up on state assessments, on any assessments that the students take. No matter where the students go, the assessment information will follow the students. So with the California Dashboard State Indicators, this is information that is given to us and collected by the state. The academic indicator, how well did our students perform on the state assessments at the end of the school year in the area of math and English language arts, as well as the English learner progress indicator. So when students who are identified as English learners, every year they must take a test at the end of the year to determine how their English is, how well they're progressing in them becoming proficient in English. And so that test and that data, that information, the results of that test are also provided to us from the state. There's also an indicator for the amount, the rate of students who are college and career ready. Students who have completed their secondary education and are prepared and are involved or have taken courses. For example, at Party High School, we have nursing classes, we have firefighting classes, we have a variety of courses that are career based. So that's information that is gathered by the state, how many students are enrolled and participating in those types of courses that are career focused. The state also collects information on the graduation rate. We submit the information through CalPads, the system, and they gather it and they determine the graduation rate for every school district in California, as well as the suspension rate. That's information that we are given by the state. So the test results from English language arts and math, the English language assessment is information that is sent to us by the state. The participation and college and career readiness information, graduation rate, and suspension rate. All those are considered state indicators, and they're called state indicators because it's information that is given to us by the state. It's data that's given to us by the state. So this is how the state measures performance. So as you can see, these look like a little gauge, like a little, I look at that as like a little gasoline gauge, if you want to call it. But there's different colors here. And the lowest performance level is considered a red. And so you see the little arrow, that's the lowest performance level. Then we have orange, that's second to the lowest. And then your yellow, which is your little arrow right down the middle. And then green, which is where we want to be. We want to be in the green and in the blue, and blue being at the highest level of performance. And so when the schools receive the outcomes of their performance on state assessments, this is how the state of California measures and shows our stakeholders how well the district is doing. So for English language arts, and before I continue with this information, as you know, as I mentioned previously, we had to do a separate plan for the monies that we would be receiving because of the COVID pandemic. As a result of the school closures and the distance learning that was required as a result of that, all state assessments for last year were postponed. So last year would have been assessment for the year 1920. There is no information available because students in the state of California did not take the state assessment. So today's information is the latest that we have, which is the year 1819. That is the most recent data, information, test scores that we have for our students, because that's the last time that our students took a state assessment. Okay, I just want to make sure that you all knew that this is information that was, it's from 1819. So for English language arts, I wanted to do a 2-year comparison. So I took the information. So we took the information from the previous year, which was 2017, 2018. In the area of English language arts, we were in the yellow. We were 67.1 points below the standard. But from the year before that, we had increased. So in the year 1819, which is most recent, the last time the kids took the test, we were 68.3 points below the standard. So we pretty much maintained where we were. We didn't really move a whole lot, although the little arrow moved us down into the orange. um, the state considers us as maintaining, because we went from a 67.1 in 1718 to a 68.3 in 1819. So that's the last time that we took, and that's all students in Party Unified who took the test, 3rd grade on up. So when we compare how Party Unified performed in comparison to the state performed in English language arts for 1819. As a whole, all students increased by 3.1 points. So as the state of California, all students from all districts, including Party Unified, when they took all that information, all students had increased by 3.1 points from the previous year. So the state as a whole was in the green. So they had a slight increase. In the area of mathematics, for the year 1718, we were in the red. We were below standard. We were 104.5 points away from meeting our standard. For the most recent 1819 in math, we were 105.8 points. And so we maintained. It was only a point that we went up. So that still kept us in the red. So as you can tell from our previous slide, we did slightly better in English language arts than we did in our math. Math is something that we really need to address, and it is something that the district and the school sites are addressing in meeting the needs of our students in the area of math. So when we look at how the state performed in the area of math, and that's all students, they were at 33.5 points. So they maintained. They're in the orange. So Party Unified is in the red. The state as a whole, including our district, they're in the orange. So that tells us that across the board, across the state of California, math seems to be the area where students are having the most difficulty. And that is where the focus is in a lot of our PD, our professional development. The focus is on math. Providing professional development training for our teachers, reviewing the math program that we currently use at all levels. So it is being addressed because it is not only a Party Unified concern, it is a statewide concern. For our English language learners, it's, as I indicated previously, it's the test that they take every single year to determine how they're progressing in their English proficiency. And so the last time that they took the test was in the year 1819. So Parlor Unified is really right on target with the state results. So um, Part of unified results for 1819 indicate that 48.1% of our students are making progress towards English language proficiency. When you compare that to the state results of all English learners in the state of California, the California rate is 48.3. The students are making progress. So we're at 48.1 of our students making progress, and the state is at 48.3. So we're right on as far as when you compare the entire state of California to how we're performing in getting our English learners to reach English language proficiency. Do we need to improve? Absolutely. We want to improve from the 48.1% and increase that amount on a yearly basis so that we have more students who are considered English learners should be becoming more English proficient and can meet reclassification um, criteria. So the suspension rate is also something that the state provides us with information. The suspension rate for the year 1718 had declined by 5%. So unlike the English language arts and the math, where we want our kids to increase in suspension, we want them to decrease. We want less kids being suspended. So the lower our numbers, the better the arrow goes to the green and to the blue. That is the goal. So in 1718, we had less kids. We declined by 5%. In 1819, the most recent information that we have, we declined by 3%. So we moved in 1718 from the yellow, we moved to the green, which is where we want to be. And so the last that we received information, or that that the state provided information pre-COVID, we were in the green as a district as far as suspension. When we compare our suspension rate to that of uh, the state is in the yellow. They were at a 3.4, and we had declined by 3%, which put us in the green, and the state is in the yellow. So as a whole, our district is not performing, but we have less kids being suspended than the state on an average is suspending slightly more students than when you compare that to Part of Unified, which is good, because when students are not suspended, they're in classrooms learning. And that's what we want, to make sure our kids are in the classrooms learning. For chronic absenteeism rate, in 1718, it had declined by 5.5%. So we were in the green. In 1819, we've maintained, and so we moved from the green to the yellow because we maintained. There was not a decline in the number of kids who had chronic absenteeism. When we compare that to the state, whereas Partly Unified was in the yellow, we maintained. The state of California was in the orange. And so that's good for Party Unified, that we have a better absenteeism rate, but clearly there's room for improvement. We don't want to continue to maintain. We want to be with this particular area, we want to decrease the number of kids who have chronic absenteeism. And so just wanted to share this information with you. The graduation rate for 1718, we had 94.2% of our kids were graduating. So we had an increase from the previous year. So we were in the green. For 1819, we went from a 94.2 to a 91%. So we declined. So we went from the green, we went to the yellow. Still a very high graduation rate. 91% is a very solid graduation rate. When you compare our 91% graduation rate to the overall state, all seniors in the state of California, California had, they had increased and they went to 85.9%. So yes, it's lower than our graduation rate of 91%, but the previous year, the state of California had a lower percentage below the 85.9. So they increased, although they were lower than our overall graduation rate. For career, and I apologize, CTE is career technical education rate, is how many kids are participating in career and technical education. In 17-18, we had 49.6% of our high school students participating, and that had increased from the previous year. So we were in the green. For 18-19, we moved from 49.6% participation to 64.4% of our kids were participating in some type of a career or technical education. When you compare Parlor Unified's career and technical education rate to the state was at 44.1%. So Parlier as a whole is doing a great job of involving and really defining what the career and technical education courses are at the high school. Students are actively participating, and we have a higher participation rate than schools in the state of California. So that's good for our students. So when we talk about our LCAP and what we're going to be writing about, we have to set goals. Anytime that we receive monies from either the state or the federal government, we have to show how we're going to spend our money, who's going to benefit from that, why we're going to use it the way we say we're going to use it, how we're going to monitor that the actions we said or the services we said we were going to provide are actually taking place, and then evaluating at the end of the year whether those funds, those actions, those services um, were were the right choice to support our students. Or if not, if whatever we said we were going to do for that school year, if it was not effective, then what are some potential or possible changes to make sure that we are not only maximizing our money, but we're providing the best possible services, providing our students with the best possible education and services through this funding. So with that being said, our LCAP has 4 goals and is broken up into 4 so that we can write down specifically for each area the funding that we will receive for that area, or how we're going to use it, and what specific actions we're going to do. For goal 1 is academic achievement. And that is simply improving all areas of academic achievement for all students, regardless of social, economical background, language. We must provide and improve in all areas. That is why we shared this data with you, how our students are performing in English language arts, in math, in English language proficiency, because there's a lot of room for us to improve. And so this is why this plan, these monies are given to us so that we can achieve that. So that's goal number 1. For goal number 2, it's culture and climate. All our stakeholders, and that includes our parents, our students, our staff at Parlor Unified, share a common belief that if students feel safe, connected to the staff at the school they're at, and have a sense of belonging, they will more likely be engaged in school. If a student feels really connected to the school, they feel safe going to the school, they feel comfortable with the staff, then they're more than likely want to come to school on a daily basis. And we want to develop a personal and social emotional health of students as well through appropriate engagement strategies, providing them with the support services that are needed, and provide a positive, safe, and welcoming environment for all our students and staff. We want the school to be the place where students really feel connected. So that is our focus for goal number 2, is providing that safe, encouraging, and a sense of belonging for our students and staff. Goal number 3 is parent engagement. Very important goal, and a much needed goal is that Partly Unified's mission is to connect families, schools, and the community as partners. And that's really critical. And that the district and our community and our families work together as partners to advance the education of every student through parent engagement and parent involvement. We want to create a community in which parents and teachers, educators work together, that collaborate to transform every child's educational environment, not only at school, but also at home, so that all our children can achieve to their greatest academic potential. So we want to, and in essence, what this means is that we want to be able to build a bridge between the school system and our parents, our families, and our community, is that there is that involvement of our parents. And then, of course, our last goal is base services. The district will provide the base services that'll incorporate the necessary staffing. We'll provide the teachers required for all the courses, the supplies, in order to provide that instructional program. And the base services just includes everything that's necessary to be able to have to run a school district in TK through 12th grade, with the goal of making sure that everything that we do with our base services, that we're making sure that our goal is to graduate our students so that they can be ready for college, a career, and adulthood as a whole. And the base services also include all the support activities for the instructional program. So, um, so the first goal, of course, was academic achievement. We have culture and climate, the environment, parent engagement, and then we had our base services, the basic things that we need to run a school district. So we have an activity. Now, this is your opportunity to participate with us. This is the part of the meeting where your input is going to be very important for us. So through YouTube that you're watching right now, for those of you who are joining us tonight via YouTube, there is a form that you can access on YouTube that you can put in your feedback. We're going to ask 3 or 4 different questions, and for each of the goals, and then you can write down your comments, your recommendations, your suggestions on that form. Now, if you're joining us in person, you can still do the same. We have personnel at Burletic School tonight who will take your information and write it down and make sure that it gets to us, so that we gather all our stakeholder input, all your suggestions, your ideas, and your comments. Now, this meeting, in the same way that I'm presenting it to you today, was held last week. It's being held today, and it will be held next, I believe it's March 18th, and then again on April the 8th. It's the same meeting, same process. We want to give our community 4 separate opportunities in case parents could not make it to one meeting. They have 3 other options. So with that being said, I'm going to have uh, one of our staff members write down areas, your comments, your input. So we're going to go to goal number 1. Under goal number 1, we would like to know what are some things, for example, excuse me, we want you to review each goal. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do each goal, and we're going to place your comments and recommendations and suggestions on the YouTube form. Okay, so we want to know what activities, what actions, what have you seen at your schools, your children's schools? What are some things that you see are working for goal number 1, which is academic achievement? So we want you to write down on that form um, those items that that you have experienced or that you have witnessed at your school site. And for example, for academic achievement, it could be that you really liked that your school had a literacy night, that they had something that really helped your child improve in their learning and their academic achievement. So if you can write that down on the form, um, that would be really important for us to know, because we also want to know what is working for under academic achievement, what is working in your experience in with your student or students at your school site. And it could be even at the district level, that as a district we're doing something, we're providing our students with a certain program, and it's really helping your child, and you see that it's really beneficial, and you really want this program or service to continue. So we need to know that, because if we are paying for a service or providing or paying for a specific system, we want to make sure that it's something that we want to continue to pay for, because it's proving to be effective for our kids. And that's why you as a parent, as a community member, we need that information. So I'll give you a few minutes to be able to jot down those items. And we have our interpreter, for those of you who have requested interpreting services. We do have our district interpreter providing this information to you. And so if you'd go ahead and complete the form, and just write down, just for that section, what is working. We'll go on to the next sections, and I'll give you about 5 minutes that we can continue with that. Now, if for some reason after today you have a question, we want to share that we are available at 646-272, it should be 31. I apologize for that. 2731 from 8 to 5. You can call the district office. This is the district office number. And you could ask for Dr. Diaz or myself, Ms. Barboa, and we'd be more than happy to speak with you, to chat with you, and clarify any questions you may have, and or hear any ideas that you may have. So please, if tonight you can't think of anything tonight, but tomorrow when you wake up and you think about something, you can call us. We're here to support you. And if we're not available, you can leave a message, and then we shall return your call as soon as we are able to. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing for activities and services that need to improve, that in your opinion, in your observation, are not really working well. When we talk about academic achievement, improving school services, maybe there's something at your child's school that, in your opinion, in your observation, may not be as effective as you would like to, it to be. And this is information we need to know. activities or services that are provided that need to improve and that you may have concerns with. Please write that down for academic achievement, goal number 1, for activities that need to improve or that you have concerns. So I will provide you with a few more minutes, another 5 minutes or so that you can write down what it is that that you may have concerns with.
Rosie, I
Yes.
have a question.
Yes.
Where can parents access this form that you're referring to?
It should be on the YouTube link. Let me request some additional information in order to help. I will contact Franklin right now
Okay.
and see how we can make that a lot more attainable.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hi.
If they write something on the form, am I supposed to write it on the note? How do I get a hold of the form? Or only whoever says something?
Yeah, whoever says something.
Okay, and they have it.
Myra, can you hear me, Myra?
Yes, Rosie, go ahead.
Okay, so and for those parents and community members who are joining us remotely, you can access this form going to the Parley Unified School District website at www.parleyunified.org. When you open up that website, it's on the website front page. So that is how you can access this form to provide your input. And we do apologize not only to our stakeholders joining us tonight via YouTube, but also those parents who are at Berletic in person joining us for this LCAP meeting. So I'll provide parents and community members a little bit more time so that you can access the website. And it's the Parley Unified School website. Thank you, Myra, for sharing that with us. And thank you, Franklin, for providing us that information. So as our stakeholders are accessing and opening up this document, which is located on the school district's front page, webpage, just to go back under academic achievement of students, what are some areas that are working well in your experience and with your students? And then also for number 2, what are some areas that in your observations and in your experience need to improve, that are not working Maybe your child has had an experience where they have not been successful in a certain area, activity, or service being provided. This is important information for us to have so that we can better provide our students with the best services possible. Why continue to do something and provide a service if it's not going to meet the needs of our students? This is why these stakeholder meetings are really, really important. And as you're writing that, we also want you to write down for question number, I believe it's question number 3, what are some recommendations? What are your ideas, suggestions, comments for not only improving, but some things that in your opinion, you would like to see, you would like to recommend, you would like to suggest for academic performance, for academic achievement of our students under goal 1. So we want you to fill out the form and submit it after you've written down what is working with in the area of academic achievement in your schools. What are some things, activities or services or programs that may need to improve or you're not really happy about, and we want to know why. And that's what you would write. And then some recommendations, some ideas, suggestions, recommendations, comments. You could even put down questions that we'd be more than happy to get back to you once we receive the forms. We would receive and make sure that we get back to you as soon as we get that information from you. We're going to do this same activity, and you will be submitting a form for each of the goals. We will do this process so that we are able to receive input from as many parents and community members in our district. And also, just to let you know that this same process, the same activity, the same presentation will be given to teachers, will be presented to all the administrators in the district, and all the different organizations that work within the district will also go through the same process. We want to make sure that we are providing all the stakeholders with the same opportunity. Okay, so I'll give you a couple more minutes, maybe 5 more minutes, that we could complete this specific area. As soon as you're done, you can submit your form. Now remember, if you're not able to complete it today, if I'm not mistaken, you can still submit it, and or you can call us and we can go down each of the goals and have that conversation with you about activities that are working, activities that need to improve, recommendations, ideas on for moving forward. I do want to say this, and I do want to share this with all our stakeholders. We are asking for your input. That's not to say that everything that you write down will be put into the LCAP. We're looking for patterns. We're looking for comments, suggestions, concerns from our parents. So if, for example, when we look at these forms and we see that the majority of the parents are saying that they really like this specific program or this service, then the majority of the parents means that we're going to keep it. If we only have 1 or 2 parents or community members who are saying, we don't like this, or this is something that I would recommend, that's not to guarantee that it's going to be placed there. We're looking for what the majority of our community wants. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for patterns. We're looking for what the majority of our stakeholders are indicating to us. Doesn't mean we're going to put everything in. It may already be in the plan. Your recommendations, your suggestions, ideas may already be in the plan. So just because we didn't, you put it in, it may be already there. It just may be worded differently. And so we're going to really look at all the recommendations. Okay. Couple more minutes and then we'll move on. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on to our second goal. And remember, our second goal is culture and climate. This is the goal that focuses on providing a safe learning environment for all our students and staff. This is the goal that addresses being able to provide our kids with a sense of belonging. And if our students feel like they belong and they feel comfortable with their staff, they're more than likely want to come to school on a daily basis. We want to develop, we want to be able to address the social emotional health of our students, that they are engaged in their school. The support services are provided for our kids, and that the school is positive and safe and welcoming environment for everyone, for students and staff. So like we did in the first goal, I want you to write down on the form for the second goal, because I believe you have to submit your first one. For the second goal, write down those things that you feel and in your experience as that your kids are experiencing, that they feel connected to the school. And it could be as simply as your school has these events that really promote positiveness with all staff and students. It could be as simply as having an awards night where students are being acknowledged. What are those things that your schools are doing that is really positive, it's really working, and should continue under goal number 2? So what are those things that are working well in your experience? So take a few minutes to write those things. It could also include district functions that the district puts together for all schools. What are those things that really promote, encourage a positive environment for students, that your kids tell you, I really want to go to school today because I don't want to miss out on this? It's what are those things that are really promoting that positiveness and engagement at your school site? It could include safety. What are some things your school does to encourage safety and you feel safe sending your kids and your kids feel safe? What are those things that really promote, that are positive under culture and climate? Goal number 2. So right now we're just focused on the positive, on the things that are working, things, activities, actions, services that are promoting positive school environments. So as you're writing these things, think about the positive things that are working, because we need to know that. Just like we need to know what is not working, we also need to know what is working. So right now, it's about what is working, what you like, positive. Okay. So as you're thinking about things that are working under culture and climate, the positive environments of your school, I want you to shift over to the opposite. What are some areas that in your experience need to improve? So think about what are some areas that need to improve so that our kids feel connected to the school, they feel safe at school. Write down those things that, and it may be nothing. It may be something that you don't have to write the comments if you don't have anything, concerns or things that you wish would improve. You could leave it blank, or you can just write no concerns. Um, and the same thing with the first one. But we want you to think about the previous one was what is working positive. Now this one moves over to the other side. What are some things that need to improve? Excuse me. We really appreciate your time, and we your comments are really important to us. Another minute or so, and if we're going too fast, please let us know, and we'll make sure that we provide you more time. But I assure you that you can, and you will have an opportunity that if tonight you can't think of some areas, but then tomorrow you wake up and or the next day and you remember something you wanted to share, it's never too late. Excuse me. Pardon me. Okay, so we wrote down things that were working, positive. You're now working on areas that need to improve. And then we want to focus now on your recommendations. You already wrote down the positive and things that need to improve. Now, what are some ideas that you want to share with us that you think would really help improve if you wrote something there, and even if you wrote something just positive, how can we make it better? Because we're always seeking, we're always looking to improve what we do as a district. And so your input is very valuable. And so what are some ideas, some recommendations, some suggestions that you may have for us to help us provide better services to our kids under culture and climate? We already talked about the academic goal. Right now, we're just focused on the environment, the educational environment of schools, the district. How can we make it, what are some ideas that we can incorporate in our plan that would really improve how students feel about their school? And it may be something that we are already doing, but maybe an added portion of whatever action we're doing that that you would think would really reinforce it, strengthen it. This is a great opportunity for you to share that information. So I'll give you a few minutes to complete that, because this is really, I think that number 3, and this is just me, this is where a lot of very creative information comes from, the ideas that we get from our stakeholders. Myra, and or Susie, are there any questions over at Berletic? They may be busy helping parents right now. So I'm going to,
Hi, Rosie, sorry.
that's
I
okay.
came to the different screen because the other one was set up with the translator, so I have to run over here.
Oh, no, that's fine. Are there any questions or anything that we need to take care of on our end?
No, we don't have anyone who would like to speak. We do have a parent here, but they don't have any questions at this time.
A quick question, the pace of the questions is, does a parent feel that it's enough time to complete the form?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for being there tonight. We really appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay, thank you, Myra. We're going to move on to goal number 3. And under goal number 3, it's parent engagement. With parent engagement, as we mentioned before, we want to be able to connect our families and our schools and our community as partners to make sure that all our kids are successful. And that only happens when parents and the school, that bridge is built so that parents feel connected as well to the schools and vice versa. And so parent involvement and parent participation and engagement is really important to us. So we're going to do the same process using the form. For goal number 3, please focus on what are some things that the district is doing to improve parent involvement and parent engagement. And it could be your experience just being at the school. It might be that at your particular school, parent involvement and parent engagement is amazing. We want to hear from you. We want to know what are those things that are happening at your child's school or schools that are really positive and really encouraging parent involvement and engagement. Parents feel connected. They feel like they can come to the school. They can they know that there's that bridge is there. It exists. Um, so if you please write down those things that are working when we think about parent engagement, just parent engagement for right now. And like I said in the other goals, it could also be um, activities that are provided by the district. Maybe you attended as a parent, a community member, you attended a district function and you felt that it was something very positive and you want to see it continue. And so this is where you would put that information. What are some actions and services, events that are really working well, that you see in your opinion are really supporting parents to be engaged and to get involved? And then just to remind you that if today you can't think of anything, because it happens, if you can't think or you remember tomorrow, you have 2 options. You can call us or you can attend the next meeting and then you can really share additional ideas or comments that you may have not had the opportunity or recollection tonight. Couple more minutes with this. And then we'll move on to the areas that need to improve. When we think about parent engagement, what are some areas that need to improve? Maybe you attended a, a school function or district function, and maybe the whatever did not, in your opinion, in your experience, may have needed to be improved. This is a great opportunity for you to share. What are some things that are not working that need to be improved? Or it could be that your school hasn't done maybe provided enough or any opportunities. And I know this year is very difficult with COVID. So we understand that too, that this one might be a hard one because we understand that we have our campuses closed and we were limited in the engagement of our parents, but we do have alternative ways of communicating and involving our parents. For example, tonight we're doing Zoom. We can't have parent meetings, but we're not going to let that hinder us or stop us from being able to communicate with our parents. So understanding that this year is different than any other year, of the things that you've experienced this year, or maybe even last year, what would you like to see improve when it comes to parent engagement? And I'll give you a few moments to write that. Okay. So under goal 3, under parent engagement, we talked about the things that are working that you really want to see continue. And then now we're just finishing up things that perhaps would need to be improved, not necessarily not done anymore, but that may need to be improved. Or, that maybe your school is not providing those connections, those opportunities, if you want to call that, opportunities to engage parents, to feel more connected. We're going to move to the third part of that. This activity is under parent engagement. What are some recommendations you would like to see? How, in your opinion, what are some ideas that would really help parents or schools um, support parents, in involving parents, in engaging parents? Maybe you've heard some ideas from maybe talking to other parents from other schools or district, and you think this would be a great idea, or you read about it, or you saw it somewhere. Um, this is a great opportunity for you to um, include these ideas, these recommendations under this third portion of goal number 3, which is focused on parent engagement. And once again, the disclaimer that I do want to say is that we encourage all the input from our parents and all the ideas. It doesn't necessarily mean that every single idea that was written at the end of these 4 meetings that are going to take place, that everything is going to be put into the plan. But to rest assured, we're looking for ideas that are being shared with us, that a lot of parents are asking for patterns. Um, and it might be that what you are recommending is already in the works, it's already in the plan to take place. It just hasn't happened for whatever reason, and it could be as a result of the pandemic, or it could be as a result that it's part of a process that we haven't gotten to that stage yet. But rest assured, we do want all our parents, all our community members to partake in this process, to share your ideas, because this is how we as a district build community. This is how we build involvement, engagement from our parents. Just like the schools do their functions and events and what have you to engage parents and parent involvement, as a district, we do the same. The expectations are the same. So the first part, you wrote down what was working, the second part, what was not working, and this is the section where you write some recommendations, some ideas that you may have. A few more minutes for that, and we're almost done. I just want to reiterate how important and how delighted I am to um, to know that we have parents joining us either in person or joining us on YouTube tonight, are viewing and listening in to tonight's meeting. And if you have family members who also have children in the district and or friends that have children in the community, in the school district, but could not participate today or even the last week's meeting, rest assured we have 2 more meetings after today, at which time we will present the same information. We will engage in the same process of asking you questions regarding the goals of the LCAP. We encourage you to invite them to participate. We've made it easy to where if for whatever reason you cannot come in person to these meetings, you can join us remotely. You can join us via YouTube, and you can access the form to give us your feedback using the form that's on the district webpage at www.parlierunified.org. Please share that information with your friends and family members, like I said, who have children in the community, in the district. I'm sorry. I'm getting my words all tangled up. I apologize about that. Thank you. Okay. Couple more minutes on this and we will move on. I'd like to give our parents and other stakeholders an opportunity to give them a little bit more time on the third part of this activity for each of the goals, because I want to we want to provide you all with, the time to be able to write your ideas. And I know I keep bothering you all by saying, if you forget today, you can always contact us tomorrow or whenever those ideas pop into your mind, to your head. Please share that information with us. We are here to gather as much information as possible to make our LCAP plan the best plan to best serve our students. Okay, well, we'll move on to our base services. I'm not certain if we have a form, but for this particular goal, but base services is just basically that we're providing the services necessary, like our credentialed teachers, that we're providing enough teachers for every classroom, that we're providing the supplies and services to make sure that in every classroom we have the adequate and the necessary supplies to provide instruction for our students, and that that all our students have full access to a quality education, whether you're a student in transitional kindergarten, TK, all the way up till 12th grade if you're a senior. And then our goal, if you were to ask us, what is your goal as a district, is that our goal is to make sure that every student that comes through our district graduates and is ready for college, career, and adulthood as in general. So that's what base services is the basic services and tools that our students would need to be successful. So if there is a form, I'll give this one a couple minutes. What are those items that are working that you feel that, the district is doing a really good job of providing the basic services for our kids? Our classrooms are immaculate, they're clean, they're tidy, they're really put together in such a way that our kids have the best learning environment. My son's teacher, oh my gosh, so the teacher is providing the best instruction possible. Their supplies, my child has all the supplies that he or she needs, the textbooks that are needed. So we want you to write down all the things that are working, that the district is providing. And with the same question is how well is the district providing these services, these basic services? What are things that need to improve? So also write that down. In your observations, in your experience, what are some things the district needs to improve when we think about the basic services that we provide our kids? What are some areas that we really need to improve on in your experience? And then thirdly, what are some recommendations? What are some recommendations for the basic services that we provide? The minimum that school districts are supposed to provide, the basics services. What are some recommendations, some ideas to improve that? So we need you to complete that form and address those areas and submit. So under this goal is what is working. The second part is what isn't working, it needs to improve. And then the third part is how can we, what are some ideas that you may have to, that you think would really not only improve, but would be beneficial to our kids when we think about the basic services that we provide. Couple more minutes. Okay, about one more minute. And like I said, the form will be available for you to complete it. If for some reason you may want to add additional information, that is also something that we look forward to seeing and reading and getting this input from all of you. Well, at this time, we have gone through each of the goals. We went through goal number 1, which was academic achievement, and that's making sure all students are achieving academically in English language arts, math, and English language proficiency. We reviewed goal number 2, which is called culture and climate, which basically talks about a sense of belonging, how well that we want to encourage our kids to feel connected to the school, that they feel safe at the school. It's the environment, the healthy, positive environment that is welcoming to not only our students, but to our staff. We worked a little bit, or not a little bit, but we also addressed goal number 3, which is parent engagement. How, as a district, as a site, we are providing engagement opportunities for our parents to get involved and feel connected to the school. And because that is a way our students can really benefit when they are receiving support, not only at the school, but also at home. And that's where that bridge comes in, is that bridge that connects not only the home environment, but also the school environment. That's under goal number 3. And then lastly, we address goal number 4, which were the basic services that as a district, any district for that matter, the basic services that are provided to all our students, from having a teacher in the classroom to having the materials necessary for students to learn, to having a classroom, a school, buildings that are in the best possible shape for our kids to be able to feel safe and feel comfortable in their surroundings, to promote positive learning. And so those were the 4 goals that we covered. Those are the 4 goals that we will be addressing in our LCAP. So your input is very much appreciated. So with that being said, this concludes today's LCAP meeting. We appreciate your input. We appreciate the comments that you shared with us. I want to take this opportunity to thank the entire curriculum and curriculum and instruction department, Ms. Myra Villanueva, Susie Garza, Myra Garcia, our technology department, Mr. Franklin Barella. Thank you so much to you and to your entire technology team, and to the school site that is sponsoring us tonight. Thank you very much, Ms. Aguilar and Ms. Montalvo, for sponsoring us tonight and joining us and helping us promote these meetings. Thank you so much to all of you. So you ask, oh, and how could I forget our very, gosh, I can only speak volumes of our interpreter, Amy Calderon. Thank you, Amy, for being here tonight and making sure that we are communicating with our parents. And so thank you so much for that. So just going back to what's next. So these are what we're going to do after we've completed all our stakeholder meetings, the 4 stakeholder meetings. We're going to have another opportunity to provide input. We're going to, once the LCAP, the plan is going to be in draft form. It's not going to be official, but it's going to be a completed unofficial plan. It's going to be published in May. In May, you'll have an opportunity. We'll present it to the school board. At that time, the community will have 2 weeks in which to have public comments, to have input, additional opportunity to have input after you've reviewed the completed unofficial LCAP plan. Once the 2 weeks are done, then the district advisory committee will review the draft plan again in May, after the public comments have been, the public view has taken place, and it will be approved by the Board of Trustees, the school board, by June of this school year. So once we completed all the meetings and we write it, the unofficial plan, and we take it for public review, public input, a public hearing, then it'll go back to the district advisory committee, and then it will then be sent back to a board meeting so that the board members and the board can approve the final plan in June, and then that will make it the official LCAP plan. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you once again for joining us tonight, and encourage you to invite your friends and family members who have students in our district. And so with that being said, we wish you good night. Thank you for your input and have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.